Junior kind of interrupted last time over the music, and I was like, "Don't talk." He's a little loud. Welcome, everybody. We are live once again. Hopefully, we're streaming. It's not coming up yet, but who knows? We are back here at Sylvan Beach Amusement Park, and I have a guest today. I've been working with her. She's a writer. Her name is Linda. How are you, Linda?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I'll get rid of that music. So we have been working together now for what? A month or two?
Oh,
now,
yeah. At least, like, I'd say between 2 and 3 at this point. I think we started around, like, May or June.
May or June?
Probably, we started the project in May, and then I think you and I met up in June, I think.
Huh. Well.
Anyway, it's been a couple of months at least.
Yeah. So what actually do you do?
Actually, I'm a writer, and I'm a member of the Horror Writers Association, so I've been a huge fan of horror since the 70s when I was growing up and kind of cut my teeth on it. That's my hobby. In my real life, I'm a librarian, so...
Wow.
A little bit of everything. So anything to do with books, I guess, is what I'm about.
Nice. So
and ghosts and haunted stuff.
Yeah, so you like to go, you do paranormal stuff?
I do. Not so much investigations and with equipment and so on, but I'm very much into going on legend trips and just going to places. I love to do what a lot of people call urban spelunking, which is just going into abandoned buildings. Of course, I always get permission first. I don't want to be accused of trespassing, but
right.
I also do photography, so I like to go to abandoned places and just see what I experience and get some photographs and, make promises to whatever might be there, that I'm not going to take anything but photographs and leave nothing but footprints. I think it's important to be respectful.
Right. Oh, absolutely. I totally agree with you there. But have you ever seen any ghosts or anything like that?
I have.
Have
yes, you? I have.
What kind of experiences have you had?
When I was 6 years old, I actually saw an apparition, which I consider myself to be very lucky for, because most people, if they experience activity, they see shadows, maybe some orbs. They usually end up feeling more than they see.
Right.
So it's kind of a long story, but I was 6 years old and I was asleep and I heard my name. I heard just Linda, Linda, Linda over and over again. And of course it woke me up. And I'm not a morning person. I never have been. I'm never fully awake first thing in the morning. And I was like 6 years old. So I had my doll next to me and I just, you first wake up and your mind's kind of fuzzy. And I was thinking, oh, it must be my doll. And I'm like, wait, no.
Great.
I hope that's not it.
Right.
Maybe that's where the fascination of creepy dolls started. But anyway, I looked up and across from me was a woman standing there, and she was just beckoning to me, motioning me to come closer. And I was like, wait, that's not right. At first I thought it was my grandmother who was in the next room over. And I thought, gosh, that must be all it is. And then I realized that I could see a painting behind her, and that was not
Really?
normal for.
Was it your painting and hanging in?
No, it was. Well, we were in my grandmother's house, so it was her painting. And actually, I have that same painting hanging in my dining room now. So
wow.
Yeah, I ended up with that painting, but. I didn't really think about it, except for some reason, even at that age, I knew about crisis apparitions. So I was afraid, because this woman looked like my grandmother, I was afraid that it might actually be her. And I wanted to make sure she was okay. So there was just a little landing above the stairs that was between the bedroom I was in and my grandmother's bedroom. And all I could think of was I had to get to my grandmother, because she and I were very, very close. And I ended up walking through the spirit, the apparition, to get to my grandmother. And then I realized my grandmother's on the bed, she's sleeping, everything is fine. And then just my presence being there, kind of huddled by the side of the bed, woke her up. And I said, are you okay? She's like, yeah, are you okay? What are you doing, huddled by the side of the bed? And I said, well, that lady, don't you see her? Huh. And she said, no, what lady? And so then that was when I was truly scared at that point, because I thought, I can see this and she can't. And then I got scared, and of course she got scared, although she didn't show it quite, she wasn't like she was being an adult and I wasn't freaking out, but we decided that it was weird and we closed the door. And then, eventually when we got up, maybe a half an hour or so later, the lady was gone. And my grandmother's sister, my great aunt, we told her about it. And that night after we told her about it, she had a dream that it was their mother and she just wanted to see me. She just wanted to see, her granddaughter. And she
Right.
said, in the dream, she said she didn't mean to scare me. And so who knows? And then I was like, oh, if it was really you, please come back. I'd love to talk to you. I didn't mean to be scared, but then I never saw anything that clearly that was an apparition and never had any contact with what would have been my great grandmother if it had indeed been her.
Huh. All right. Now, was that the first time that you actually believed in the ghosts and paranormal?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't the first time I believed in it. It
So
was the
you've
first
been-
time I experienced it. Even at that age, even at the age of 6, I was all about ghosts and
Gotcha.
spirits and yeah.
Yeah. I got interested in it around the time the Ghost Hunters came out, because I'm an investigator, and I was watching the Ghost Hunters, and I'm like, hey, I got all that equipment. I got the cameras, I got the recorders, I got them.
I can do this.
I can do this. This looks fun. And I did it once, and I was hooked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went and joined the groups and did all that group thing, and then here I am, Park After Dark.
It is a lot of fun. I mean, just using some of the equipment that I've used recently has just been like, wow, this is, you feel like you're part of something and trying to solve a bigger mystery,
Right.
something bigger than will ever be.
I just wish all the groups would kind of work together instead of be at odds with each other. Around here, that's kind of what it's like. It's like we're better than you. We've got better investigators, and at least that's
shouldn't
the
be that
sense
way.
I get. No, it shouldn't be that way at all.
No, because we're all after the same
Right,
thing.
right.
Yeah, we all want the same answers. And if investigators would work together, then maybe what one group or one individual has found could help. I guess I envision it as being like a big puzzle. And if all the investigators and investigative teams have different pieces of the puzzle, they'll never know the whole picture unless they get together.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. And this brings up a point here. I was contacted like last week, and it was somebody regarding an app that they're creating. It's not out yet, so I'm not going to give a lot of information on it.
Okay.
However, the general concept of the app is if you go to a location, you'll have kind of like blueprints, and if you have activity in a certain area, you can actually mark it.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
However, they said that they were going to charge $25 a year for it.
Depending on
Well,
how
I'm glad to see you could make it.
how it operates, that might not be a bad deal.
Right.
But yeah.
We discussed it, and we were kind of like on the fence, because what's to stop people from actually, faking
Well, that's
stuff?
true.
But the $25, I think, would.
Well, that maybe that's
Some-
what the cost is, and it's not just a one-time time cost; it's an annual cost. So maybe that's why they're doing it that way. I guess that does make sense.
Right.
And if it's something you're really into, I mean, $25 a year is not that much ultimately.
But I'm not sure if they're going to do it like if anybody can just post on it, or it's,
And they
I'd
might
like to
not
see it
know
work.
either. Yeah,
Ru-
until it's
well,
developed more.
They seem to know.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. I haven't seen it. They tried to send me like a little, like a screenshot of it, but it you really can't tell.
You can't do anything
So,
with just a screenshot.
They
yeah.
asked me, "Is there like layouts or blueprints of the place?" And I'm like, "No."
No.
And they're like, "Well, because I'm looking at it as more work for me." Now
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, just draw it up." I'm like, "You know how many buildings there are here?"
Right. And I mean, how specific do they want the blueprints to
Right.
be? Is it just like a floor plan, or is it actually architectural blueprints? Because that would
No,
make a huge difference.
I don't think it would have to be,
It'd be that
Right?
detailed.
No.
Yeah.
I told them that I don't have enough crayons.
I'll get you a box of the 64 Crayola with the sharpener in the back.
How are you, Elizabeth? Oh, you got to turn your microphone on.
I got a big red one today.
Yes, you got a big red one. So yeah,
Good. How are you doing today?
look who showed up.
Yeah. I
Hello,
decided
Elizabeth.
To join ya. Hi, Linda. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Good.
So yeah, we were just talking about that app that we talked about a few times already. But I'm thinking that if I see like probably 40 to 50 people a weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and they were like, "Holy smokes, really?" I'm like, "Yeah, because I'm not a group. Everybody is my group. I consider anybody who wants to be a Casper cop, they can be a Casper cop. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm the deputy. I'm the
Lieutenant.
no chief. Chief.
You're the chief.
I'm chief.
And Elizabeth, you're the deputy, right?
Yeah, right.
I'm the chief. Junior is executive chief, and I don't know. I haven't given you a title yet.
No, we've discussed it, but
No.
I'm not titleized yet.
No.
I'm not.
But anyways, I'm still in power. And I like it that way, okay? But anyway, so yeah, that app, I'm kind of on the fence about it. I love the idea.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah,
And
the
I even
concept is awesome.
I love the idea of maybe you can have like people like me that do it all the time, like every Friday night, Saturday night. Maybe, trusted groups or people
Right.
do it. 'Cause why not do like a place that does tours and that has
That would make sense.
right, and that has certain people doing the tours all the time.
Yeah, so there's somebody that has the knowledge base already to work from as far as the activity that's been there, the layout and everything else.
Right.
So it makes sense rather than just some Tom, Dick, or Harry coming in and
Right.
putting an X in the box, so to speak.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah. Well, what was that? No, I don't know. That was
Are they
paranormal.
gonna have it in beta testing, or is it already in beta testing?
They said that it was going. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But they said that it was going to be out in either October or November.
If they're working on it, they probably have it in beta testing already. I know because we're actually at the library system I work at. We're working on an app and bringing that on board, and it's in beta testing right now. And then basically what you have is just a few people who are using it,
Right.
who are in the know just to see how it works and what the bugs are, and hopefully have it streamlined before it goes live for everybody.
Right. Well, I would, but what irks me is and by no means do I, how do I want to put this? They're charging for the app, and I think $25 is a little steep. But by no means am
Yeah.
I discouraging them from trying to make money on their app.
Right. But that's pretty expensive as far as
It
apps
is.
go.
It is. I mean, I don't think I've paid $25 for an app, but
No.
even if I paid like $19.99, the app is mine.
That's the thing. It's the one time. I've
Right.
never heard of an app being anything other than
Right.
a one time cost. But like you said earlier, it may just be that they want to discourage people from just going in
right.
and putting whatever on there and having it not be legit.
Right, right. Well, I can understand that.
Yeah.
But all right. So what are you up to?
Oh, about 5'5".
You know. Yeah. So we had a late night last night.
We did indeed.
Yes, it was fun.
It was.
It was fun.
It really was. Yeah, we had quite a few laughs.
I think Roque said he saw a guy in Laughland.
Oh.
He didn't tell you about it?
No.
I heard it when I asked him. I heard him say it. He kind of said it to himself because he was like, "Oh, look, everybody's right here, and I just saw somebody walk through there."
Oh, okay. I did hear
Yeah, I
that. I
heard
was
that
off.
too.
I was off taking some pictures.
Right. And then I asked him, I'm like, "Hey, did you see somebody?" And he didn't answer me. So
Oh.
I'm like, So I think he saw somebody.
Maybe.
Did you hear him say that?
I did hear him say that, and I looked back. I paid minimum attention to it because he didn't elaborate
Yeah.
after that, so I assumed that he caught who it was, that it was actually one of us.
Well, no, I was like right outside, or not right outside, but I was like kind of next to him, and when he said it, and I looked in the direction he was looking at.
That's what I
and
did.
I think somebody was opening the door or had the door propped open back there. You know that door that what did it say?
The black door.
gentleman's lounge.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yep.
And I think the door was closing when he saw it. Or that door was propped open, but I think that's the area where he saw
Okay.
it.
Well, that being the original bathhouse or made up of wood from the original bathhouse, it seems to me that there could be energy attached to that.
Yes.
Very much so.
Yeah. I'll tell the story. Early on in the early 1900s, Sylvan Beach had a bathhouse, and people would go and take baths. They would rent the room, 5 cents. I've got pictures, and they're awesome pictures. The earliest photo that I have is from 1906. So you got to think that, all right, it probably took a year to build that thing, at least a year,
Sure.
because it was huge. So we're talking maybe late 1800s, early 1900s. So, I mean, maybe even dipping into the 1800s.
Yeah.
So what you would do is, and there was a big water slide also that you could go in that was part of the
I've
amusement.
seen pictures of that because I've read a couple books on the history of Sylvan Beach and the amusement park, and I've seen that, and that was a huge hit.
Yes. I mean,
Yeah.
I think they should bring it back,
I'd be there.
right? But yeah, I want to slide down the water slide.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Maybe. No, I'll stop.
Maybe
But
a
anyways.
tandem slide, huh?
Oh no, where was I? Junior's not here to keep me.
Yeah, we're just
Yeah,
gonna
on
we'll
track.
let this conversation
yeah.
slide for now.
No, but anyway.
Nice pun.
It's starting already.
I see what you did there.
Good.
I got it. It took me a minute. I got it.
Hey, that's
But
shorter
anyway.
than usual.
Now the bathhouse was again, people would go rent it for 5 cents, go take a bath or do whatever you want, and then go down the slide. 1954, it was demolished due to modern plumbing because nobody needed to go into the bathhouse to take a bath because they had their own bath now.
They
And
didn't
it
need
was-
the water anymore from the
Right.
lake,
Yeah.
right?
Right. And it was broke into 3 pieces. One piece was sold to a private residence here in Sylvan Beach, and every once in a while I drive around looking for it, but I don't know where it is. The other 2 pieces were put together side by side, and they are now Laughland. And Laughland is that haunted ride where you go and you ride around in a cart. And yesterday was the first time that we were actually ever in that after closing.
I had fun. in
Wow.
I would have liked to investigated it though.
Oh yeah. If
I
only we
wanna.
had time.
I know.
Yeah, it was it was awesome, but it was also a little bit like seeing the wizard behind the curtain.
Yeah,
You know? I mean, I will definitely be actually going on the dark ride
I
at
was
some
thinking
point
that
this
today.
weekend, but yeah, it was kind of it's like I know what's coming next. I saw it from the other side,
Right.
so to speak.
Well, it's cool in there. We didn't actually. I don't even think we walked all the way through it. Did we? Did you?
I think didn't we do it before
In the
we
beginning,
started?
I think
yeah, in
we
the
did.
beginning we did, but not. I don't think I did because I took
Right.
pictures. But yeah, I don't
did
think
the
we
same
did.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would. It'd probably be a different energy in the dark.
Yes.
Definitely a different energy in the dark.
Yes.
But if you go behind it, you could actually see the layout of the 2 pieces side by side put together. So if you're ever around Sylvan Beach and you find that 3rd piece, let me know because it's been gnawing at me.
A puzzle you just need to solve.
It's quite a mystery,
I know, right?
right? So now let's get to the activity here at the park. So last week after we did the show, we were bragging that we were 100% in the panic room.
Yeah.
And we can still brag because last Saturday I had a rather large group. It was funny because I think that it at that time I thought it would do more activity with females than it would males. Because I sat in there, Junior sat in there, And as soon as we put a female in there, something happened out here.
Mm-hmm.
So, and plus, I had a female in there a couple weeks ago sitting there alone, and she had a rock thrown, or a pebble,
Right.
like not a big rock, but
Right.
you could hear it.
Yes.
Luckily, she had a recorder. So she was sitting back there, and she hears it, and everything is posted on my YouTube and my Facebook. Like me on Facebook, Casper Cops. But anyways, I thought that it did more for females than it did males. So before we came up here, I usually, open up the door and say, enjoy the view, because that's where the stairs are and the light is lit up.
Right.
And I love that view.
Yes.
So I asked, I'm like, hey, we've got this little room that we found, and it's really active. Is anybody feeling or feeling dangerous today or something? What did I don't even know what I said. Or brave.
Adventurous.
Adventurous, that's what I said. And this one guy goes, oh, I'll do it. Now again, I'm thinking,
I'd like
it was I go, is there any females? And right after, and
Ouch.
it was like the creepiest. I caught myself saying it. As I'm saying it, I'm like, James, this sounds like the creepiest thing that you have ever said. And it's just like, any females? You come in, we need a dark room. But
Let's do it.
no, anyways, but Junior had to point it out to me, because he was like, that sounded really, really creepy. And I'm like, I know. I was hoping that nobody heard it. Nobody got that vibe from it. But anyways, he went back there, and he didn't have a recorder, but I can't remember exactly what he said, but I think he got touched and a couple other things. And I'm like, I go to him like, look, do you feel that you witnessed paranormal beyond any reasonable doubt in that room tonight? And he goes, yep. So I got to believe my fellow Casper Cops.
You do. You absolutely do.
So we are 100% still in that room. Now, you don't seem to think it's that room. What do you think it is?
No. I'm more on the
Talk radio.
I'm more on the what we call Jack's room than the back porch. We've
What?
had this conversation. I'm more on Jack's room than the back porch.
Oh, the actual
That
room
it's-
next to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the reason why I'm leaning on that is because I had the pebble thrown in there, and it just seems like whenever anybody goes in that room, because we've had people sit in Jack's room all the time, but it just seems like when somebody sits in that particular room, something happens.
Or that back door's open.
Or the back
And
door's
I don't
open.
mean the one at the hall. I mean the one that goes into his room.
Oh, into the room, to
Into
Jack's room?
Yeah, not the hall door, but the one that goes from Jack's room to that back porch.
Now, that used to be a like a little deck going
Okay.
off the back, and I don't know why it was enclosed.
Yeah, that's not usually a good thing to do with a deck.
Are you feeling brave tonight?
It was enclosed.
I think
because-
I am. Yeah, maybe even adventurous.
You got all right? You got a recorder?
I don't have one with.
I'll
no.
hook you up with
Okay.
one. If you go in there, I will hook you up with a recorder, because you're not going to go in there without one.
recorder.
I've got two.
I have one, and I'm not giving it up. But I will let Linda use it all she wants. James knows
Fine.
what that's for. A little inside joke about not giving up that
Right.
recorder.
But anyway, yeah. So yeah, if you want to go in that room,
Yeah, I'll definitely
Okay.
give it a shot later. Yeah.
okay. Now, you know what? I wanted to say something prior to this, because we were talking about
Something else.
your experiences, and we got sidetracked on the app. So we'll get back to where I was doing this for probably about 8 years before I was actually convinced that they're ghosts. And
That's a long time to be
yeah.
involved before. Yeah.
And we're talking, I did groups, and I was part of like, have you ever heard of the TAPS Family Network?
Yes.
My group was part of that.
Okay.
I joined, and then they got accepted as TAPS family members.
Okay.
So we went around and did a lot of private houses, lot of private houses, and
I'm still not convinced.
I don't ever want to do private houses again. What?
You heard me.
Oh, so that the dime in the hallway. What do you believe happened with that dime? How do you think that dime?
Let me see that hallway on video that nobody actually threw it.
Who was there? It was me and you and that little
4 of
girl
us.
and that girl, and the other two were in the room. Did you throw it?
No.
I didn't throw it,
No.
and she
No,
didn't
but-
throw it.
But I'm just, I don't want to believe.
This is like Santa. I got to ask, why don't you want to believe?
Right.
I don't know. I'm just really feeling some kind of way lately. It was all fun and games, and now I'm a little more,
Which actually suggests that you do believe or could believe.
yeah.
So what you're saying is that whole episode that you did a couple weeks ago was just an act?
Is it a mind game that I played on myself? Am I just like, how do they say that you convince yourself of things?
I thought it was early on. Go ahead.
That was it, the mind game that you play on yourself, that you convince yourself of things. Say, like I used to have a friend who would say a lie, and as soon as it came out of her mouth, you could put that woman on a lie detector test, and she would pass it because she now believes that lie. The power of the mind. And I believe in the power of the mind severely, the power of the secret, so to speak.
So you think the mind
So
itself
is it?
did the quarter or the dime?
That would be easier for me to sit here and go, if my foot still doesn't feel that cold crap.
Yeah.
That's what really has me. And then the week after that was
Right.
just a living nightmare. I'm not even going to lie. So you like to say there is no evil.
No.
I totally have to disagree with you on that.
Well, there's no evil around here. Nope.
I think it's
There's
hard.
evil everywhere, James.
It's I do think that people, wherever there are spirits, they're still the same as they were in life. Like if you're a real SOB in life, you don't die and then become a Pollyanna or just a really good person. You are who you are in life or in death. That's just what I believe. And I also think that there is I do understand what you're saying, Elizabeth. You can definitely convince yourself and convince other people to believe something just with the power of suggestion sometimes. But that, to me, even further undermines the importance of doing investigations, because then it becomes scientific.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah. I mean, you can have a discussion about what's real and what's not real and whether or not certain things exist. But when you start getting out there in the field and doing the work, then it becomes harder to refute.
That's what's happening
yeah,
to me right now.
Exactly, because you get things on
what you're
recordings,
saying.
and you're
Like me.
you once you have empirical evidence, then it gets harder and harder to say, oh well, this is not a real thing.
Right.
I mean, that's not to say that someone didn't drop a dime on you, so to speak. But it also doesn't, I mean, it's a situation that maybe in that particular instance you can't prove or disprove. But that doesn't negate, even, and let's just say someone did throw the coin, that doesn't negate the entire experience.
Right, but nobody threw that coin.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nobody else in the building.
Well, no,
nobody.
just from watching the video, I don't see who could have thrown
Right.
it. Yeah.
And when we come up, we lock that door
Right.
from the inside. It's a little latch. So
Yeah.
We'd hear it
nobody
break.
possibly. And
I mean, you could open it still locked, but you'd have to actually pull it and break that lock, the little hatch locks.
Right. Yep.
So
yep.
you'd hear that, bang
Yeah.
of it breaking to open.
And I'm not saying that someone who wasn't,
Everyone was
going
in front of us.
I don't really think that it could have been. And it's not to say that someone wouldn't come on the investigation and do something silly like that. But I think most people who are going to come and
right.
do this,
It was a small.
they're here to have the experience, and they're not going to muck it up by
Right.
by like dropping a coin in the arcade or doing something like that.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
And plus, I give a
Well,
speech.
this
I
is
mean,
my
you'll hear it.
second
You'll hear it
coin
tonight.
incident that really has me walking on kind of eggshells of what the heck.
Well, I definitely think there's something here. I mean, I've been to the park a few times over the last few months working on the project, and I tell you what, there was one night here, we were done filming, and I was wandering around the park taking photographs because I'm thinking, how many chances am I going to get to be in an amusement park by myself
In the
at
dark.
night in the dark, like,
And it's haunted.
And it's haunted. I'm like, this is a bucket list thing here.
Right.
So anyway, everyone else was packing up the equipment and had gone off to the van, and I'm wandering around the park, and I figure I'm not worried about it. I have my cell phone. If they're not going to take off without me, I'll just get a text like, "Hey, Linda, where are you at?" And then it would be, it'd be fine. So I'm taking pictures. I'm thinking, I'm really not alone.
Right.
I'm not alone. And Elizabeth, I was kind of looking at it from your perspective at that point, like thinking, okay, am I really feeling like I'm not alone? Is there really something here? Or is it just weird to be in a park that was bustling with activity just hours ago and now I'm the only one here? And I still don't know the answer to that, and I don't need an answer to that. It was just, so it could have just been the surrealness of the experience itself, or there could have been something here. But then one of my friends was one of the extras that night, and she mentioned, this place is kind of creepy. Like, I feel like we're being watched. And I didn't say anything to her. So it certainly wasn't a case of me putting a thought in her head or being, making a suggestion at that point. That was something that she came to on her own. And I haven't experienced anything directly, but last night
Let's see tonight.
Well, let's see tonight. And last night, one of the other investigators that was here, the battery was full on the multimeter in the van. And when he went to turn it on, the battery was dead and he hadn't used it all. And it hadn't been on at all because we hadn't been here more than 10 minutes probably.
Oh, we have a guest out there. Jesus. Fucking Jesus. And when I kick you
What?
and point my eyes that way, you might want to look. I'm sorry. What's his name?
Jeff.
Jeff. I don't see him sitting there, but all of a sudden I see his shadow moving. And I'm going, I'm kicking James
like,
under the
why?
table like, hey, am I crazy? Or like, you just keep right on talking. That's why I said, well, let's see tonight. And I'm going, hey.
And I know he's there, plus I
I'm
can't see from
sorry.
this angle anyway, but
Well, all right. So, it took me. The first year that I was here at the park, I spent mostly in the yesterday's Royale because it was open, and I actually started working as a bouncer there, and that's how I got in. And nothing really happened that I was looking for. Happen in the arcade. However, I would try. I spent many nights alone up there. I would talk to them. It always kept me interested.
yeah.
You knew something was there.
Oh, there's something there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There's
So-
definitely something there.
Once that closed, the very next year, the park still wanted to continue with the tours, and I started going into the arcade in this building. And the very first night in the arcade, we had somebody drop a coin. And I'm like, hey, did anybody drop this? Whatever. But you'll hear this story again tonight. But everybody denied it. And it took 3 times for me to be absolutely convinced. Because the second time it happened, we heard a piece of wood hit the floor. And then after that, I went and picked up the piece of wood, and it looked like it was a door shim. And then when I was asking, a coin come flying through the air, landed right at my feet. And I thought somebody threw it in the group.
Yeah.
So I kind of put my flashlight and...
You mean like you did to me?
yeah, I did. But
You're just like, what did you just do?
They're like, we swear, we
Nothing.
didn't do anything. We swear, we swear. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. I take this seriously. No screwing around. And they're like, we swear, we didn't do it. So I'm like, okay,
I can't
sure.
hold water when I do it.
The third time though, it was a small group, and they let me have it. They let me have it. They're like, in your face, James, here. They smacked me around. They
I
were
think
like,
the smaller groups really do bring out more of what's going on here.
I
I
don't
said
know
that to
though.
you.
Yeah, you did say that, but I don't know. I've had activity with as little as 2 people, as much as 20 people. I don't know.
It's more believable when
can't-
it's a small group because there's less people to mess with you.
And the end
in
of
my
this
mind as well.
last year, if you go onto my website, you won't see hardly any videos posted because hardly anything happened last year.
Yeah.
I think the only video that
I
I
didn't
posted.
trust you last year.
Well, I don't know. The only video that I have posted from last year is from we smelled the cheap cologne in the burger shop.
Oh, that greasy place.
Yeah, the Greasy Blaze. The Greasy Spoon.
And I told you if you stop calling his cologne cheap, you might smell it more. Just saying.
Well, if you were to smell it, you would say it was cheap too.
His old school cologne.
Oh, wow.
You know me. PR. Politically correct.
Oh, the sound of that music means we're going to be wrapping it up. See, I got to pump through now. Doing all good. Oh, we've got the new Casper Cop rocks.
We do. If anyone is familiar with this, it is painting rocks, and usually you're putting messages of some sort on the rock. However, Casper Cop has decided to do a few with his logo and give away free ghost tours. That's
I
one
did?
person per rock. Yep.
Oh.
He did.
So much for being the
So
one in power.
Find yourself. All right.
Yeah, I remember that executive order that I gave.
Yeah, well, you might have been a little excited and high last night from the fun we had.
Oh,
making the
that was
movie.
great.
However,
That
we
was
did
fun.
discuss
It was
that.
fun.
I like acting.
Yeah?
I like acting.
You're actually
I
you're
do.
good at it too.
Am I?
We might have something
Yeah,
else
he
in
didn't-
mind for you too for another role.
Really?
Yeah.
He didn't
Ah.
believe me when I said it to him.
No, I believed you, but
No, I believed you.
you're,
but it's not
you're
the
my
same.
friend. She's not.
I was so bad he didn't even say a word to me last night.
Well, thank you for listening, everybody. I want to thank Haunted History Trail in New York State. We love you.
We
We're
do,
part of the
yes.
Haunted History Trails. Oneida County Tourism, thank you so much for everything that you have done.
We appreciate it.
Yep. If you're interested, go to my website, CasperCops.com. Elizabeth, photo by Moxie.
Well, if you must.
Yes. And you got anything?
I got a Twitter handle. That's all I got.
Twitter.
At Linda B. Ryder.
All right. That's what I put you in. I put you in as Linda Ryder
Yeah,
on my
that's
phone.
me. There you go.
I didn't know you were a Twitter feed.
Yep.
Gonna
Well-
have to check you out on Twitter.
Thank you, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow is going to be a cool show. I've got my witch friend, Lady Leslie, coming in. She's going to debate evil.
That'll be interesting.
Yes. And she promised not to slap me.
Okay, but I'm not promising not to slap you for her.
Oh, well, geez. Come on. Now we're going to be like 2-on-1 here.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, don't threaten me with a good
Sounds
time.
like fair odds to me.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to it.
Well, thank you, everybody. We're winding up. Junior, I love you. I hope you made it to college okay. And
Have fun,
take
Junior.
care. Hope to see y'all at the park soon.
We miss you.